Every summer, deep within the towering redwoods of Northern California, a group of the world's most powerful men vanish into a private forest. No press, no cameras, no accountability. They gather in a place called Bohemian Grove, an elite male-only retreat cloaked in secrecy for over 150 years. Presidents, oil tycoons, banking magnates, tech giants, and global decision-makers, all under one canopy, shielded from public eyes. The grove spans nearly 2,700 acres of ancient forest, an endless sea of towering redwoods whose massive trunks and whispering leaves have witnessed centuries of history. The air here feels different, thick with the scent of moss and pine, carrying an eerie stillness that seems almost deliberate. The sun struggles to pierce through the thick canopy, casting long shadows that stretch across the forest floor like fingers guarding secrets. Access to the grove is tightly controlled. Heavy gates and armed security patrol the perimeter. Only men invited by members can enter. Cameras and phones are strictly forbidden, ensuring the activities inside remain hidden from the world. Outsiders who try to sneak a glimpse are usually met with swift removal, and in some cases, legal threats. What draws these men here, year after year? Officially, it is described as a private social club, an opportunity to relax, forge friendships, and network away from public pressures. But beneath the surface lies a far more complex reality. For many, Bohemian Grove is a place where immense power is exercised in secret, where the lines between politics, business, and ritual blur. The origins of Bohemian Grove date back to 1872, when a small group of San Francisco artists and journalists created a retreat to escape city life and connect with nature. However, as wealthy and influential men joined, it quickly evolved from an informal gathering into a secret society for America's elite. Over the decades, the guest list grew to include presidents, senators, corporate moguls, and influential financiers. Among the most famous attendees were Herbert Hoover, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and other U.S. presidents who found refuge in the grove's privacy. The gathering became known not just as a retreat, but as a place where powerful men could speak freely and shape the future, far from the glare of the public eye. At the heart of Bohemian Grove's mystique are its rituals, the most notorious being the Cremation of Care. This ceremony takes place beneath the watchful gaze of a massive stone owl statue, a 30-foot-tall monument standing in a secluded clearing. The owl, often called Moloch by conspiracy theorists, is said to symbolize wisdom, but its ancient origins and ominous presence have led many to suspect darker meanings. As dusk falls, men dressed in robes and hoods gather in the clearing. Their faces are hidden, their voices low and chant-like, echoing through the trees. The ritual begins with the carrying of an effigy named Care, symbolizing the burdens and worries of the outside world. This figure is set ablaze in a large bonfire, with the flames consuming it amid solemn incantations. For the participants, this act represents casting off responsibility, freeing themselves from guilt or conscience, so they can indulge in power and influence without restraint. To outsiders, it appears as a chilling display, a symbolic declaration of detachment from the moral concerns of the common world. This ritual, more than any other aspect of Bohemian Grove, has fueled decades of speculation and conspiracy theories. Journalists, researchers, and conspiracy theorists alike have suggested that the Grove's ceremonies mask occult worship, secret pacts, and the forging of shadow governments. In the early 1980s, investigative journalist Alex Jones managed to infiltrate the Grove and film part of the Cremation of Care ceremony, providing rare footage that showed robed men chanting around the owl statue. His recordings shocked the public and ignited widespread debates about the nature of the gatherings, sparking claims of paganistic rites and elite occultism. Despite attempts to shine a light on Bohemian Grove, much remains hidden. The group's lawyers and members aggressively protect its privacy, making it difficult for outsiders to gain direct evidence. This secrecy only deepens public suspicion and drives endless theories about the true purpose of the Grove. However, the significance of Bohemian Grove goes beyond strange ceremonies. It is a place where business deals are struck, political strategies are discussed, and global alliances are formed. Former insiders reveal that the Grove functions as a nexus of influence, where corporate titans and political leaders negotiate far from public scrutiny. Whistleblowers who have broken their silence paint a picture of a world ruled by unspoken agreements and covert cooperation. One former staff member described overhearing conversations about oil price manipulation, banking regulations, and foreign policy interventions, plans not meant for public ears. Another recounted the feeling of walking in the presence of men who understood their shared responsibility to shape the course of history from the shadows. The male-only policy at Bohemian Grove is itself a relic of an older era, one that excludes half the world's population from these gatherings of power. Critics argue this exclusivity perpetuates an elite patriarchy, keeping decision-making in the hands of a few privileged men. This raises profound questions about representation and fairness in the corridors of influence. The impact of decisions made or influence within Bohemian Grove is impossible to measure precisely, but the very presence of presidents, corporate giants, and financial barons implies that the Grove is far from a casual retreat. It is a hidden chamber where the future of nations and economies is often quietly discussed, long before policies are announced to the public. The question lingers: how much of the political and economic world we see is shaped in these secret woods? How many laws and treaties have their origins not in open debate, but whispered conversations beneath ancient trees? And if this is true, what does it mean for democracy itself? As the flames of the Cremation of Care flicker and die, the Grove returns to silence. The owl statue stands guard, its stony eyes reflecting the fire's last glow, a silent witness to the passage of power and privilege. The men depart from their cabins, returning to a world where their decisions echo in boardrooms and capitals worldwide. Yet the true nature of what happens at Bohemian Grove remains shrouded in secrecy, guarded fiercely by those who would lose everything if it were revealed. It remains a modern mystery, an ancient forest concealing a modern empire of power. So when the headlines tell of decisions that shape the world, remember this: some of those decisions may have been made beneath these silent redwoods, where the elite gather each summer to play God, far from the eyes of the people they govern. Maybe it's just a club, maybe it's just a retreat, but maybe, just maybe, it's where the elite play God, and the rest of us aren't invited.
Your support keeps these stories alive, and there are many more still waiting to be told. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. It helps me grow and bring you even more powerful stories told the way they deserve to be. If you like this story, you can browse more stories like this in my channel. Thank you.